All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 324 of the KissFAQ Podcast. I'm your host, Julian Gill. The last episode 324 was the giveaway, so it doesn't count. We will have given things away and erased it. So today I'm joined by Marcus Almighty Mark.
Greetings.
69th Blizzard Ken.
Hey.
And Lonnie, St. Louis Kiss.
What's up?
So as you can tell from my background today, we're going to be talking about Ace Frehley Origin Volume 2 and doing our roundtable discussion on it, our ranking, our KissFAQ panel ranking of the album's tracks from least favorite to most favorite, some other stuff about it as we go along. Make sure you tune into Eddie Trunk's podcast 1 on the episode where he had Ace in the studio and went track by track about the album as well. It was also very interesting. Eddie, thank you for the nice words. I appreciate it. And it was also nice for Ace to be saying good stuff about the label and, well, the fans as well. Very nice podcast appearance by the Spaceman. All right. Mark,
Yes.
Before we talk about this album, how are things going with yours? Because it seems like forever since we've had an opportunity to get an update on your musical activities.
Well, I am on song 5 of the mix. 2 songs left to go. And of course, I leave the last two are longer ones. Like the one I'm doing today is like 9 minutes long. The one I have to do after this one is like 12 minutes long. So those ones are always a blessing to do when it comes to mixing, of course. And then the instrumentals left for last that Billy Sherwood played on, which I'm looking forward to doing that one because that's going to be a fun one to mix. But it's going very good. I'm very excited about it because it sounds really good. Like I think easily it's going to be my best sounding album for sure, because it has such variation in the bass sounds because of the guest musicians that came on it. It sounds really cool. In October, the first single is going to drop for it, and some exciting kind of updates are going to be coming down the pipe for that. Also, a big thing that I want to mention too, really quickly, if you don't mind, is I'm in this other band called the Dark Monarchy, and tomorrow at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we were releasing an official video, not a lyric video, an actual video that was made by our good friend Steve Holland in England for us. And it has Joe Bailey appearing in it as well. So he'll at least have one of us in the video. So it's going to be, it's a nice video. We checked it out. It turned out really, really well. So that's going to drop tomorrow as well on my YouTube channel, on the Project Gemini one. And that's going to be technically the last of the sort of promo for this album cycle. We are starting to write the next album in January. But there is one more thing that's going to happen in November based around the Black Friday release for Dark Monarchy. So keep your ears open for that.
Very cool. Well, that is Mark's musical update. Let's get into Origins Volume 2 and our roundtable panel discussion on this. Before we get into the rankings themselves, I'd just like to ask each one of you, which song, since we knew about the track listing for this album, were you most looking forward to hearing when the track listing for the album was announced? Lonnie, you're on mute. I could read lips. That was rude.
Sorry, I had a phone call. For me, being the Beatles fan that I am, it was I'm Down, and because John 5 was going to appear on that song as well, I was most looking forward to that. And as we may find out later, that might have skewed some rankings of the panels.
Okay, you can get back to your phone call. We'll come back to you later.
No, I'm off the phone. Okay.
Oh, okay, good. Sorry to interrupt you.
I hesitate.
Ken, how about you?
For me, I think it was Space Truckin'. I love that song from Deep Purple, so it was a no-brainer. And I think when we had a prior one, a podcast discussing Origins 1, I think I might have said I wanted Space Truckin' on one of those episodes, and it happened. So I was happy with that.
Nice. Mark, how about you?
Well, surprisingly enough, considering that I'm not the biggest Led Zeppelin fan, honestly, my favorite Led Zeppelin album of all time is Zeppelin 1. So as soon as I saw Good Times, Bad Times on there, I was like, okay, this I'm looking forward to. And yeah, he didn't disappoint me.
Nice. And I don't remember what I said on my kind of track-by-track review because I did a solo one about it, but kicks. Mark, what was the one that you're most scared that he was going to be doing on this album?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I was really scared of any of them to per se, but, you know, I'm always kind of leery about when he redoes Kiss songs sometimes. I mean, he did quite a few of them on Origins 1, like definitely more than he did on this album. But that was kind of the one that I was kind of a little iffy about. And the other one that I was a little leery about, but was very surprised about, is when he does a Hendrix song.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Ken?
Yeah, for me, I think I was more worried about him, covering a Beatles tune. So it was I'm Down. I thought, oh, shoot, should he be, tackling that one? Simple or not, it's just, when you touch Beatles, it's kind of, you got to be careful.
Hallowed ground?
Hallowed ground, yes.
Yeah, I'm with you on that with the Beatles, and I was more surprised that he was even going to do a Beatles song. I was happy that it wasn't Helter Skelter or something, really obvious. So, again, good. Well, we'll talk about my opinion of it later. Lonnie, what worried you or concerned you?
What worried me or concerned me was actually Space Truckin'. God damn it, am I on? No, I'm not. I thought I was on mute. I'm off to a good start today. For me, it was Space Truckin' because, and I think I mentioned this on the last episode where we kind of teased it a little bit when we talked about the single. Was that do we really need a song with a space theme in it again, or are we just forcing it? Are we just trying to reach in the bag and pull out a song that has space in it? Oh, this will work. We'll cover this. So that's the song I was most worried about with Space Truckin'. That really, again, space theme. We're really going down that road again. Are we just grasping at straws at this point? But to my surprise, it turned out really good. It's one of the better tracks on the album.
Nice. So let's get into the ranking. As always, we do our ranking, however many songs on the album, 1 point through X points per song. Favorite gets the most point, least favorite only gets the 1. So let's jump right in on this panel's least favorite track, only earning a whopping 12 points. Jumping Jack Flash, which is no shock whatsoever. I've already said that I'm not a fan of Miss Leader Ford. I prefer Joan Jett, always have. Just not a big fan of what she does or what she brings to the song. And that was the one thing that really stood out to me when I first listened to the album, was the swearing. Just seemed out of place and forced on that particular song. So I was not particularly a fan of it. Trying to find someone who actually gave it a lot of points to go to next. Lonnie.
It was me that gave it a lot of points, and I'm surprised that it ranks as low as it does. I enjoyed it. I thought she did a great job with the lyric with taking the lead vocals. It was not that I dislike Ace's vocals, but it was just Ace's solo albums always tend to have, a different lead singer or, and a few tracks mixed in there with a different vocal. So it was nice and kind of refreshing to hear that midway through the album. And I thought her vocals on there were good. I'm really surprised this ranks as low as what it does. I really enjoyed it. I do agree that the swearing, not that I'm like I probably curse on this show more than anybody.
Yeah.
But,
Yes.
Yeah. But it did seem rather forced that it was in there. It's like I don't know if we really need that. It didn't add anything to it. You know what I mean? It's not like
trying a cool element.
Right. It's not like it's So Easy or Night Train where it sounds good in the song that that we're cursing in the middle of the song. You know, there's no cursing in Jumpin' Jack Flash. The fact that we're throwing it in there, it's like, oh, look at me, I'm tough and cool. Then I'm throwing an F-bomb in the middle of it. Really kind of falls short of the mark. But I thought it was. But other than that, I thought it was great. I thought she did a great job with lyrics. I'm surprised that you guys ranked it as low as you did. So I'll be interested to hear why.
Yeah, and you know, while I've already said I'm not a fan of Lita, I'm not also a fan of the song. You know, it's almost too predictable as a Rolling Stones song, whereas stuff for me, like 2000 Man, is more interesting, kind of a deeper song that's been aceified to make it interesting. It's like, oh, really? Jumping Jack Flash? You couldn't have done something a little bit more interesting? And I think someone, or lots of people have suggested, Bitch, please. You know, a great Stones song, and again, with more of a connection to kind of Kiss and Ace's origins than seemingly Jumping Jack Flash. But then again, you have to remember that these songs are his origins, not what we think his origins should be. Ken, you ranked this, well, pretty low as well.
Yeah, 11 for me. It's the Rolling Stones is kind of like the Beatles, you know, that hallowed ground kind of thing. And while 2000 Man worked out well for them because he totally made it a different song, really, and made it his own. This is in different cases in where it's just being the song is being destroyed. It lost all of its I know what I call his you know, the hooks, the sound, everything about it just didn't sound right. It just sounded so off. So that was a big, you know, I was hoping for something good, but I was very disappointed in that song.
You're looking for an eyeful, but you only got a peek.
There you go.
Mark.
Well, for me, I didn't rank it very high for two reasons. Mainly, not the biggest Stones fan, number one. Number two, the Stones that I do like is not from this era. I like the much older stuff than this. This is, you know, I don't know. They started getting into that kind of, you know, we know we're popular kind of era around this time. I liked it when they were, you know, more starting out the early days of the Stones. I kind of dig that stuff a bit more. But I think Lita did okay. I mean, I've never had a problem with her voice per se. You know, she has kind of that really raunchy whiskey voice, you know, as well when she kind of sings, right? And you know, being that she's a decent guitar player too, I give her props as well. So there's nothing wrong with the performance of it. I just think that if they would have did a different Stones song, I think it probably would have ranked much higher in my list.
Fair enough. Lonnie, what have you unboxed?
I unboxed the gold version of it that came in
You got yours. Nice.
the mail today.
Very nice.
And it's in good shape.
Yeah, all my corners, you know, a little bit of corner scrunch from the shrink on a
But
couple of them, but in terms of its packaging,
I
You
have
guys
no
got the
product.
gold one?
I got
none.
the gold one, yeah.
Yeah, because the one that I got was not the gold. The one that I had at the store was this kind of bluish one.
Ooh, that looks
Blue
nice.
for Ace.
That looks
Yeah.
a bit
Yeah, I'm still waiting for mine.
bit
I was
Neptune-ish.
wondering if it was going to come. It comes like a week later.
Mine's black and gold.
Yeah, I can't remember which ones I bought. I counted up, you know, it was asked on the FAQ, how many copies you got? I think I've got like 9, because I bought 4 copies of the Target CD to send out to Europeans. So technically I bought them. Then I bought the Japanese one, even though it's a digi. I chopped up one digi already. But,
Saw that.
then I bought, obviously, the vinyl. And the Target one I'm still waiting for. So, all right, let's move on in our ranking. And I'm actually shocked this one is as low as it was. On 13 points, Lola. I'm like, really? I actually like that song. But then again, looking at my ranking, obviously I didn't like it as much as
Didn't like as much as you thought you did.
yeah, eight other songs apparently. So I think it's fun. And again, I think because I like every single song on this album. So something has to be liked less than something else. It's just the nature of the ranking. I don't think it matters a damn if it's ranked high or low. The song is fun, and I got a real kick out of it. I was having a bit of PTSD over Southeast Asia and my years there whenever I hear Lola. But, that's a story we just don't want to get into. Lonnie, your thoughts on Lola?
I think I ranked it pretty low on my list. While I like the song, it didn't really work for me as much as a lot of the other songs on the album. I mean, not that it's my least favorite song. It's not my least favorite song on the album, but it kind of seemed, as I'm going through the album, especially the first time, that one, you're talking about something that seemed forced. It was, this song to me really seemed forced. It's just, okay, yeah, it's poppy and it's catchy and it's fun, but to me, it just didn't fit in on the album. It didn't fit with really the theme of the album. That all of a sudden there's Lola, this happy-go-lucky song, right in the middle of it. 2 songs away from manic depression was Lola. It didn't work for me on the album. I think as standalone, I think it was fine, but it's great musicianship on there. That Ace sounds great on there. I think it's a good Ace lyric song. It's a good Ace lyric song. It's more like a talking type singing, which is more up Ace's alley. Not that I'm trying to rip on him as a vocalist, but it worked for Ace. But to me, the song didn't work for the album.
Yeah, fair enough. And as far as Kinks songs go, I think when there's an identifiable one, there aren't that many really that one can go to. Ken, your thoughts on Lola?
Yeah, Lola. While the Kinks are great and everything, I was never really originally a big fan of this song in the first place. Lola. I thought, yeah, it's a good song, but nothing that I'd want to go out and buy it, basically. And so, from that standpoint, it was like so-so. And then, it was a decent cover. But again, I'm not so much into that song. I would have rather him have done Destroyer, which is kind of funny, from the Kinks. I think that would have worked out better. I think that would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, and kind of odd his low vocal. So I can't do it. One thing I do like on the song, though, and a couple of other songs, is his new gal pals backing vocals, as he made very clear on that Eddie Trunk podcast that I mentioned today, that he had erased a previous person's background vocals and added new ones.
He edited her
out. No wonder the rage. Mark, Lola.
Yeah, I never liked this song. Like, even in its original form, I've never been a fan of this song. But the reason why I kind of ranked it higher than some of the other songs is because I genuinely think that this is one that Ace did pretty good, actually, on the record. Like, I kind of get the vibe that he likes this song, like really likes it. Like, it's one of these ones that when you mention Lola, he probably, has a smile on his face and will talk to you for 20 minutes about it or why he likes it so much. And that kind of shows on the playing, I think, on this song more than some of the other songs on the record.
Yeah, all right. So here we are. You guys broke my heart, because this is the one song where it's my second favorite on the album and everyone else's worst on the album. Politician by the Cream. I love it. I think it's hilarious. I think it's very well executed. He nails the clownish kind of political thing, and then he talks in many interviews about not being political and thinking that musicians should just stay out of it. And then this week he got all political, or last week when he went on Cassius Moore's show. So I just find that hilarious. But I thought he picked a really kind of obscure-ish Cream song and did a fantastic job with it. It was at one point one of my favorites, the favorite. And remains one of my favorites from the album, and the rest of you hate it. Lonnie?
Sorry, it is the least favorite. Man, we're going to me first on everyone. But it is my least favorite track on the album. I can't get into it. I listened to the album, I've listened to it multiple times over the last week, and it's the one track that I can't get into. I mean, I said Lola doesn't really fit on the album, but I still, can can deal with it, and it's fine. It's more of a standalone to me, but I can't get into Politician for whatever reason. Not that I don't like the Cream, but I just can't. This version just doesn't work for me.
What more can I ask you to say? I mean, it either works or it doesn't.
It just doesn't.
It's totally fair. Ken, what about you?
Yeah, for me, I just didn't enjoy it. I don't know if I've ever heard the song before, honestly. And if I have heard it before, it was so different from the original that I didn't recognize it. But I'm guessing I really didn't hear it before, among other Cream songs I have heard. So it just didn't. I just didn't do anything for me. Didn't lift me up. That's why it's on the bottom of my list. Sorry, Julian.
Hey, it doesn't matter. I think there's plenty of Cream Ace could still do. So I'm glad he's digging into a little bit of the less obvious stuff. I mean, I'd like Toad to be done, but that's just me. Mark.
Yeah, I think I'm going to echo a lot of what everybody else said, and that is that I just never got into this song at all. I'm not the biggest Cream person. The funny thing I noticed about my list is that the last, like the bottom 4 or 5 songs are really bands that I'm not really into too much, right? But the upper half is just stuff that I'm really much more familiar with. But Cream is just a band that I've liked out of like a respect thing, because it's, Eric Clapton, Ginger Baker, and, Jack Bruce, like those guys are like icons in their musical instrumental field, right? So, and watching some of their performances, like, at the Royal Albert Hall and stuff like that, those are fantastic performances. But, I'm not very familiar with their album deep cuts, let's just say. So when I heard a song like this, it's not terrible. Like nothing that's on this record is terrible, but it's just a song that just didn't connect with me as much as the other songs did.
Yeah, and that's just how it's going to go. All right, so moving into 9th place, we actually get one that's in the middle of the road for 2 of us, and really, well, for 3 of us, and it doesn't work for Mark. We got to get out of this place. The Animals on 16 points. So, Mark, straight back to you for that to give Lonnie a break for being first.
I never liked this song. I mean, right or wrong, I always connected this song to Vietnam movies because for whatever reason, I think I remember hearing it. I don't know if it was Platoon or one of these kind of movies that they always had these kind of, it just reminds me of this sort of like 60s, peace and love, man, sort of vibe thing to their songs. And never liked those kinds of songs, those Vietnam influenced kind of songs. And whether this is or not, I can't be 100% certain, obviously, but, it never connected with me. When I saw he did this one, I was like, kind of like, oh no, I don't like this song. I really hope he does it better. And as a plus to it, I do like his version better.
Yeah, I think the Vietnam thing is definitely a connection, and I'm glad he didn't do the Paint It Black as another song that's been featured in Vietnam era. What was that TV series in the 80s or 90s? I don't remember what it was called. But I love this song, though. I think it's really catchy, just one of those really well-crafted pop songs. So it makes me smile. And Ken, you and I ranked it the same.
Yeah, I like the original song by the Animals. So I never really thought of it as a part of a war Vietnam era song. I've always just thought of the Animals whenever I hear this song, and it was a pretty good job. I enjoyed the song, though it's not one of my more favorite songs on this album, but they did a pretty good job of it.
Sorry, reading texts. And Lonnie, it wasn't too far behind Ken and me on your ranking.
No, I like it, and I think it's a good track for Ace to do. I think it's it's kind of a song that's really up Ace's alley. I don't know his origins. He knows his origins, but for me, you could really see that We Got to Get Out of This Place is really an Ace Frehley in the vein of Ace Frehley style type of song that would really work for him, his personality, who he is. I think it works fine, and it's catchy, and I ranked it, I think, pretty well in the middle, and it's it's a good tune. It's a good tune. I think it really works on the album. It's really good.
Yeah, and I think he said in the interview with Eddie that he didn't even know it was a protest song. He just liked it.
Yeah, that's totally Ace.
Yeah,
Right.
and I think what's better. I mean, we got to get out this place. It's the rock and roll hell of this album. There you go. All right, moving on into 8th place. Now it gets real. Substantial jump in the points because everything's coming up. But I'm surprised this one is, well, in 8th place, frankly. It's the bonus track, She, in which Ace and the Ace Frehley Band revisit that classic. So, Ken, I guess we'll start with you on this.
Well, I love this song. I've always loved the song, and yeah, sure, he knows the song, and it's typical. But I ranked it number 1 for me because more than anything else, I love to hear Ace play Kiss. That's what I want. I want Ace to play Kiss. I want to hear Kiss music. So, and it did a pretty good job. He replicated his own old solos nicely. I noticed. I was kind of listening closely and seeing if he remembered all those solos, and he did. All the fills were there, and it was great. And it was a great rocker. Good job covering the original.
Well, actually, there was only one fill there, and that was the bassist. Yeah, so Mark, you and I ranked this the same. Again, middle of the pile. For me, it's middle of the road just because in terms of all the songs that I enjoy and those that I don't. But I think Ken nails it, that it's great to hear Ace doing Kiss stuff, and I would still love to have an Ace live album with this new lineup that he's got. So maybe one of these days that'll happen. Mark, your thoughts on She?
Now, while I agree that I'd love to hear a live album with this band doing Kiss material, my opinion on this is completely opposite to Ken's, and I apologize, my good friend Ken, because we usually don't disagree on this kind of stuff. But I don't want to hear Kiss songs on these kinds of records. I want to hear him do his origins, and Kiss is not his origin. That was just a band that he was in, right?
You don't know that. Maybe Wicked Lester one of his origins.
maybe. Hey, you never know. Eh? Maybe he was influenced by that flute music. Maybe he loved it. But I just, there's nothing wrong with the performance. Don't get me wrong. I think they did a really good job. It sounds good. They played it excellent. They even threw in a little tag at the end from the live version of it as well. That was cool that they did that as well. But when Ace comes out and says, he's going to do an Origins record, I'm curious to hear what the songs are that influenced this man, that inspired so many people to pick up the guitar. And that's why on Origins 1, I was a little that there were so many Kiss songs on there, because I would have loved to have heard more songs that he that he grew up with. So, I think this record would have been just as good, in my opinion, without She on it. That's just my opinion.
Right, and that's why it's a bonus track.
But
then again, 5-1 the Doors in the solo. Maybe that's an Origins link as well. Okay, Lonnie.
I do agree with Mark on this one, where I do love Ace doing Kiss. I also agree with Julian. Well, how about a live album with some Kiss stuff on it, of what it's like to go see Ace with this new band? Because I saw a show last year. It was very entertaining, very good, very tight. Or release, do some Kiss on something like that, where on an Origins album, even though I interjected Mark, I do agree that Kiss isn't really his origins, but Kiss is his origin, like his beginning. But I don't. It's to me, it seemed kind of forced on the album at the very end as a tag on the end. Is it really a bonus album? Well, I don't know. It's on every version I have, so I don't know if it's really a bonus track or not, because I haven't seen a version of it without it. So, yeah. To me, it works. I liked it because I like the song She, obviously. I'm a Kiss fan. But to me, it really wasn't, to me, it really wasn't needed on there.
No. All fair enough. There we are. All right.
But how about some live? But I'm with Julian. How about a new live Ace CD?
Yeah, I've seen this lineup of the Ace Frehley band, 4, 5, plenty of times, and I look forward to the next time. They bring a power to the music now. Oh, that's a John Corabi. Jesus, what a show! Just shut up and host. Just shut up and host. All right, so in 7th place, my favorite song on the album, Kicks, on 29 points. This was also the one I was most looking forward to, and also a little bit worried about what he was going to do to it. So, obviously, with it being my favorite, I am thrilled by the end result. I have always liked this song. I've always liked its riff, and again, it's an upbeat, poppy, anti-drug song sung by Ace Frehley. So no lack of irony on there. But he also does a great job on it. He adds a solo in. So, a little bit like the live version of Rock and Roll All Night. Add a solo in, acify it, and he knocks the performance out of the park. Let's see. Mark.
Yeah, I mean, I ranked it sort of in the middle. Not too familiar with the song, to be quite honest with you. Again, like I said, this lower half of the list is stuff that I'm not overly familiar with. But I'm glad that he put these types of songs on there, because they're, to me, almost like fresh new songs, right? That I've never heard. So I'm introduced to him, and I like it. Again, I didn't rank it very low because, I thought he performed it well. It sounds good. The performances are good. I think one of the things I like about this record is I think all of his performances are pretty spot on. There's nothing that I hear that I kind of like go, ugh, like that was a bad note, or you know what I mean? Like his performance as a guitar player and even singing wise is really good on this record. I really enjoyed this record.
Yeah. Lonnie, I think you had this about the same as Mark. Yeah, 5 and 5.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's like Julian said, it's good and it's catchy, and just kind of feels like a good Ace tune. I mean, I like the original track, so I was looking forward to hearing Ace's version of it as well. Some of these are tough to rank because you're also in the middle of ranking them. You're thinking about how you feel about the original version of that song too, because you can't if you've heard the original version of the song, it still sticks in your head quite a bit, even though I'm ranking an Ace Frehley Origins CD, but it worked. I think the song worked really well for Ace and his band, and it's catchy. I enjoyed it. I liked it. Maybe I didn't rank it as high as others, but I still liked it.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point. Ken, before we get to your thoughts on Kicks, how many of these songs were you hearing for the first time on this album? Because everyone's musical lives aren't the same, I had heard every single one of these songs except for one. Mark, what about you?
Yeah, well, a few of these are ones I hadn't heard before. Like Politician, I honestly haven't heard before until I heard this. And this is another one that I wasn't really very familiar with. But the rest of them I pretty much have heard at one point or another. So
yeah, Lonnie, what about you?
I think I've heard all of them. I'm pretty well diverse. I mean, I don't necessarily really go crazy on certain bands, but I think I'd heard all of these before at some point or another. Obviously, I don't own all of these songs, but I have heard them all before, so was familiar with them all. So, like I said, it's difficult because I'm thinking, well, I'm trying to rank these songs, and I'm going back and forth a little bit. Well, how can I rank, good times, bad times this here? Because well, wait, no, I'm don't let the ADD get the best of you. We're talking about Ace really good times, bad times, and not, Led Zeppelin. We're not talking about Jimmy Page and Robert Plant's version of the song. So it was, it's not easy to do that, as opposed if it was just an album full of new material like we did for his album a year or so ago.
Yeah. Ken, your thoughts on both those parts, and obviously your opinion on Kicks itself.
Yeah, well, I think I think Politician was the only one I hadn't heard. There may have been another one, but I can't remember now. But anyway, Kicks, the song Kicks is good. Obviously, I've heard that before a number of times in the past, and I think it's a real good choice by Ace to cover that one. It's a nice, catchy tune, and it has, like you said, Jane, it has a good riff in it. So I like it. It's the middle of my list, but it's a keeper.
Yeah, nice celebration of 14 years of sobriety for the Spaceman. So congratulations, Ace, on that. All right, moving into 6th place on 30 points, Humble Pie, 30 Days in the Hole. And I think a lot of people will probably be surprised that it's so low, midway point on this track listing, and that's all my fault for having it second from last. And I don't know whether it's a result of me listening to an awful lot of 70s Cheap Trick, but there was just something with the vocal that didn't quite rub me right. And I have seen everyone else who's been commenting on it has had nothing but fantastic things to say about Robin Zander's vocal. And musically, it's great. And, again, his vocal sounds well delivered. It just doesn't sound like the 70s albums that I've been listening to an awful lot of over recent years. So the issue is me, not him, not the performance. Lonnie.
I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed Robin Sanders' lyrics on it, or vocals on it. Again, like Jumpin' Jack Flash, to me, it's nice on an Ace album to get that different vocalist mixed in, because it's something that we were used to in the 80s. Not something we really got on his more recent releases with Anomaly and so on. But to me, on an Ace album, it's kind of like, to me, it's like the way it's supposed to be. We're supposed to have a different vocalist in the middle of it here and there. So, and I think, to his credit, Robin Zander knocks it out of the park. I think it's fantastic how he did this song. Ace sounds great on it. The whole band sounds great on it. I really, really like it. And this is one of the songs on there that I can almost take it as its own almost, and really don't have to look at it as much as of a cover as I do a lot of the other ones, because I think the song really stands well on its own.
Nice. Well thought out. Mark.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I thought it was well done. I thought Robin Zander did a good job singing it. Never a big Cheap Trick fan, to be honest with you. I have a couple records by Cheap Trick, but they really collect a lot of dust because I don't listen to them a whole lot, to be honest with you, because I don't know. I mean, I know they're so strongly connected to Kiss, but to me, it's almost night and day. I just don't really see the connection as far as, like, if you like Kiss, you got to like Cheap Trick kind of thing, because I don't like them nearly as much. But with that said, they did a great job on this. Like, he sang it really well. It was performed really well. And, lots of other bands, I think, have done this song before. It's a pretty popular song to cover. In fact, and I hope I don't get egged by the Kiss board members for saying this, but I honestly think that the best version of this song I've ever heard is done by Mr. Big on their debut record that they came out with. They did a cover of 30 Days in the Hole, and I thought that was excellent. A great version of it. But you got Eric Martin and Billy Sheehan and all those guys, so of course it's going to be awesome, right? But this is a good version. I mean, for me, this was in my upper half already, so I did think that it was a good performance, and I think I agree with Lonnie that having Robin singing on here was a nice change, because Ace does sing quite a bit on this record, so.
Yeah, always helps, like has been mentioned, to give him a little break. Ken, your thoughts on 30 Days in the Hole?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. It was a good job, and Robin Zander is nothing but a plus. I wish on this type of his origin albums, that he would have more vocalists come in and do more of the songs, versus maybe his solo records. I'd like him doing his own vocals on the solo record. But for something like this, I would get some other, a variety of vocalists to come in and sing some of these tunes. That have, better vocal chops than Ace. But having said that, it's a good song. I enjoy it. It's it's number 5 on my list.
Yeah, so having said that, would you then have less guest musical players, like less John 5 or less Bruce, or
No, I wouldn't have less.
or would you
John
still
I like
keep going with that?
I like having that too. I mean, you can have a little bit of both, right? So
you can have your cake and eat it too. Of course, you
exactly.
I really like that idea.
Cake and
That's
ice
something like
cream.
that's something like what Slash did like in 2010 on his solo album, and what Bruce Kulick did for BK3.
can. Yeah.
Is that you
Exactly.
could you could do that and actually would be really great for an Origins type album. And we were just saying it would really make each song seem standalone and very unique in and of itself if you had a different vocalist on each track. I think that's an excellent idea. Bruce did it, Slash did it. Why not Ace do it for an Origins album? And let somebody who wants to come in and sing a lead on one of those songs that I've always wanted to sing vocals on this track. And Ace that'd be great. Somebody, Ace could really work that and have a group of vocalists come in that would really be into doing something like that.
Well, the voice of reason has spoken. There we
Wow.
go. Yeah. All right.
Prove it wrong. Prove it wrong.
I'm not. Wouldn't even bother. Moving on into 5th place. Speaking of guest appearances, Manic Depression on 31 points, with Bruce coming in and them picking a great Jimi Hendrix song to do. Mark, let's start with you on that.
I was thoroughly surprised with this song. I mean, being a Hendrix fan, I guess I can say that. I'm not a huge fan, but I am very familiar with his catalog. I have quite a bit of his records. When a guitar player goes to cover Hendrix, other guitar players kind of sit up and go, okay, how's this going to turn out? Because that's kind of those things, like where if you're going to dare to step into this territory, it better be good. And I think they did a really good job. I was expecting disaster. He proved me totally wrong. And I'll tell you, the one thing that really made me smile with this was Bruce Kulick on this. His solo, the wah solo, that first one that's in the middle of the song, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic, and proves to me that I was not wrong way back in 2015 when I first did my first episode with you guys, when I said that my favorite Kiss member was Bruce Kulick. And he has remained that way because the man knows his guitar playing. He's a very modest guy. I love his channel where he talks about Kiss stuff when he's talking about the origins of some of the songs I've been watching. I love his channel. The man can do no wrong in my eyes, and he proves it to me again on this cover. And hats off, though, to Ace for having the balls to have Bruce come on to his album and do that. I mean, how many other guitar players are a funny bunch. They're kind of like, they don't like people stepping on their toes kind of thing when it comes to guitar playing, right? So to allow him to come in and drop down a really great guitar solo, Ace could have been like, no, I don't want that on there. It's going to make me look bad, Curly, but he didn't do that. He kind of approached it like, he did a great solo, and it just helped the song sound fantastic. And I think, to me, it's one of the best songs. I mean, it's number 2 on my list.
Yeah, that's why I went to you first, because it is ranked so highly by you. But for me, when it comes to these guitarist guests, John 5 doesn't mean anything to me. It's not that I don't respect him as a player. I watch some of his videos on YouTube. I don't look out for, there's an album with John 5 on it, must get it. Whereas if it's Bruce, because he's the guitarist who was in Kiss when I became a fan, I was like, wow, that's going to be really fun to see what these two guys do together. And they stylistically contrast with Bruce doing his wah and his playing style with Ace's more loose, and it works really well together. So stylistically, it's very interesting. It's not to say I don't enjoy the things where John 5 does contribute, but in terms of his name recognition to me, just not on the same level as Bruce. And that no disrespect is intended by saying that. It just is what it is. Ken?
Yeah, well, I'm with Mark. This is really a great tune, and Bruce was a great show. I think even I think Ace said that Bruce contacted him and asked him to be on, and of course, and he said, "Yeah, hey, come on and play." And he let Bruce choose the song, I believe, from what I understand. So, great song choice. Great for letting Ace, get Bruce on there, and Bruce is, he's still got it. He's always been a fantastic guitarist. Technically, the best guitarist is in Kiss over the years, technically. So it worked out great. The song just works out great. So I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, and Ace likes his playing too. So, Lonnie.
Yeah,
you guys talked about Holy Ground with the Beatles, and we'll get to that here soon, and with the Rolling Stones. Well, this song fits right in there with Holy Ground, especially when you talk about a lead guitarist going to cover Jimi Hendrix, like Mark said. And then you bring in Bruce to do it with him, who is a huge Hendrix fan. So I was really looking forward to the song, knowing the influence that both of them have stated on numerous occasions, how much Jimi Hendrix influenced them. So I was really looking forward to the song, and it totally does not disappoint. They really knock it out of the park on this one. And you look at some of these other songs and you can kind of say, like, oh, they kind of made this, to steal a line from American Idol, like they really made this song their own. Well, this song, the Hendrix just spews through your speakers when you're listening to this. I think they kept this as, it almost sounds like Hendrix. They tried to make it so much sound like Hendrix. And I'm sure Bruce wouldn't want it any other way. That's exactly how he wanted it, that he wouldn't want to deviate from what Jimi Hendrix did, because he had such a big influence on Bruce. Ken mentioned how much She sounds, Ace's work on She really sounds true to form. Well, this song really sounds true to form, and they did a fantastic job on it. And I really sing its praises. They did great on this song. Really, really good.
And it's not too deep a cut, but it's also not too obvious either. I think he's picked both of the Hendrix songs he's done on the Origins volumes very well. Spanish Castle Magic, obviously, on the first one was a great pick, and obviously he's done Foxy Lady previously, but he stayed away from Hey Joe and Purple Haze, so more power to him.
All along the Watchtower.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Without going too deep into Hendrix, which, from my dives, it just doesn't appeal to everyone. Well, it doesn't appeal to me, so it probably doesn't appeal to everyone either. All right, moving on. In fourth place, this is actually a little bit of a dark horse. I'm shocked that it's this high up because it is pretty obscure. Never in My Life on 32 points. And of course, on first listen of that was the new song for me, by the way. I wasn't familiar with it before this album. Rip It Out, obviously got more than a little bit of inspiration with that riffage at the opening of it. But Heavy as Hell, I loved it. And it made me go listen to quite a bit more Mountain. So mission accomplished on that. Thank you for the introduction to something new to listen to. Mark.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Not a big Mountain person as far as collecting their material, but familiar with stuff within their catalog. So, and Leslie West is a very bluesy kind of player, an obvious sort of influence for Ace, in my opinion, and it's a great song. I really think that Ace took this one and gave it a little bit more oomph to it than the original version. It helps that he has a nice modern production to this as well. So I really enjoyed this song. I mean, it is in the middle for me, but that's only because the songs that are in my upper echelon there are songs I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah, middle of the road doesn't mean bad, does it? So, Ken, bottom half of your ranking?
Yeah, bottom half. I think it's because I was less familiar with this song. This is probably the other song that I was not so familiar. I think I had heard it, but I just didn't. I mean, I thought it was perfectly fine. It didn't grab me like some other stuff on this album here. So yeah, it was okay, but it's not something that I would want to go back to, wanting to listen to again.
Yeah, and I remember one of the stories about this, that when they were in the studio recording it, Jimi Hendrix was there, and he loved the riff. So another nice little connection with Jimmy there. So Lonnie, you loved this one as well.
I really did. I really did. It's really heavy, which I agree with Julian on that, which really shot up my list quite a bit. And I've seen Mountain, I think once when I was a teenager. They had like a festival around here, and they were there. Some, and not just because I saw them one time in concert, I'm automatically familiar with all their songs, but no, I mean, I've seen Mountain. I've and I have some of their music. It's good stuff. So I was looking forward to this one as well. And Ace just makes it so much heavier than the original version, and I to his credit, I really enjoyed that. And Ace's playing on it is great too. And knowing where Ace is in his life right now, he's in a much different place, and you can really tell that he's happy. I think that really comes out in his lyrics in this song. I think it's a very appropriate song for where Ace is in his life right now. So to me, that really, he couldn't hide it when he sang that song. So to me, it's really one of the standouts on the record because of that.
Very nice. Good observation. So where is he in his headspace? We got to get out of this place then, Lonnie.
Well, I can't tell. It doesn't work on every song.
And neither does it work on this next one in third place on 35 points. Side 1, Song 1, Zeppelin 1. Good times, bad times. Yeah. Not surprising that it ranks this high, but I only gave it 3 points.
Really?
Wow.
I totally skewed it because, again, as I went through the list, I love it musically. There's just a couple of parts where the vocal, just is a little bit low for me. And, I love the ad-lib rap at the end, his angry rapping. I love Jeremy's playing on it. It's a great song, but it just kept getting bounced down the order. And again, there's nothing on this that I don't like. It was probably the biggest casualty of me just loving some of these other songs that little bit more. And that's really it, because it's fantastic. It's also a great opener on the album. So, Mark, It was your favorite song?
Yeah, it definitely was. When I heard this the first time, I was really, really happy. And now I'm just going to use this moment to just explain one little thing quickly. So when I first got this, I bought both the CD copy, and I showed I had the vinyl version as well of this. I listened to the CD of it the first couple times, and it was good. It sounds good. Little squishy in spots as far as production and the mastering, but I'll tell you one thing. When I put on that vinyl, the 45 RPM version of it, wow. Okay, like that was done really, really well. I mean, and the way you can always tell when a master job or a lacquer cut is done really well is you listen to those dead stops, that that dead air in there, and you can hear like the little hi-hat counting going on in all those little spots. Even in Space Trucking, when you're doing the all those spots in there, the quality of the audio is so nice on this album. It really takes these kind of songs that were performed well and had good amps used, like some nice old Marshalls and stuff like that, and it really cuts through really well. So I highly recommend listening to this album on vinyl as opposed to the CD. The CD is fine, but it just doesn't do any justice to it as the vinyl does. But I'll tell you one other thing. I was listening to that, and when I was done, I stopped, took the needle off the record, left everything as it was, and went into my collection and grabbed Origins 1 and put it on. Oh my God, this is horrendous in comparison on vinyl. It is limited to death. It sounds like somebody just took a CD copy of it and pressed it to vinyl. It's terrible. And the snare drum sounds like a gunshot, like those really bad sampled snares on there. Like I couldn't get through White Room. It was really just annoyingly loud, though there was no dynamics in it at all. So while I, like this album for its, vinyl coloring and, you know, the collectability of it. And the songs are good on this album as well, but man, the production job is not anywhere near as good as on Origins 2. And I can't stress it enough. Buy, you know, obviously get the vinyl because it's the 45 RPM version. It sounds really good. Yeah, sure, you'd have to get up a couple times and flip the record, but it is worth it fidelity-wise.
Wow, so that's a hot take for the show, Lonnie.
That is a hot take.
Yep, you're not getting one
like
today.
it.
So talk about good times, bad times.
I don't know how to follow that up. I mean, damn. But good times, bad times, you know, it's tough when it's Led Zeppelin. You know, and I mean, Ace really didn't. We've talked about hallowed ground on the show. Ace did not shy away from hallowed ground as far as, you know, Hendrix, Zeppelin, Beatles, Stones. I mean, it takes balls to cover songs like those. I mean, it really, truly does. Mm-hmm. And he did great. I think Good Times, Bad Times is done very well. It's one of the songs that I wasn't really as looking forward to as much because I like it, and we've talked about it, where I like it where he takes a little bit of a deeper dive like he did with Manic Depression, and don't just do like a standard, you know. But, you know, then again, we turn around and we do a standard with Jumpin' Jack Flash with the Stones. But I do enjoy a little bit of a deeper dive, and I was really hoping for, if we were going to do Zeppelin, I was hoping for a little bit of a deeper dive on Zeppelin, because I think it's an easy pick to say, oh, Good Times, Bad Times, because everybody loves that song. But it's a great opener. So, and you have to have an opener. So, you know, go ahead and do Good Times, Bad Times, I guess. And it sounds really good. I think it's done very well. It really surprised me more than anything else, because I was kind of like, but it, you know, it's like, oh, can Ace really sing Robert Plant? You know, I mean, yeah. when I think Ace Frehley lyric, Ace through vocals, I don't right. Put, oh yeah, he sounds like Robert Plant. No, I don't put them in the same category. Not that one's good and one's bad. They're just both very different from one another. So I was really kind of hesitant on it, but I think it works very well, and it's a great opening track on the album. Kind of sets the tone.
And in his defense, that song is probably one of the more easier Robert Plant songs to sing in general.
Sure. Oh yeah, without a doubt. So, Ken.
Yeah, I ranked it number 2. So yeah, I liked it a lot. I think it was a great opener. While I'm not the biggest Led Zeppelin fan in the world either, there are songs I like, but I don't. A lot of the songs I just don't get by them. They don't work for me. But having said that, it was good. You know, good job. And yeah, the vocals worked. Surprisingly, I was surprised, like Lonnie, that I was like, oh, you know, Robert Plant, is he gonna sound like that, or you know? But no. But yeah, like Mark says, that those vocals are more toned down for a Zeppelin song, Robert Plant vocals. So it worked, and they did make it work well. So, and it's just sounds great. It's just on point. I mean, just the riffage, the stops or whatever. It just sounds all perfect. Really, it just they did a solid, tight job on that song. So that's a good one for me.
Yeah, as tight as the original. Very well recorded and executed. All right, yes. So it's going to be pretty obvious what number 1 is after we say number 2. So just give you a quick recap. 12th place, Jumping Jack Flash on 12 points. 11th, Lola. 10th place, Politician. 9th place, We Gotta Get Out This Place. 8th place, She. 7th, Kicks. 6th, 30 Days in the Hole. 5th, Manic Depression. 4th, Never in My Life. 3rd, Good Times, Bad Times. In 2nd place, Space Truckin' on 36 points. Just nipped in there ahead of Good Times, Bad Times. Always loved this song. It's so much fun. I'm just like, I don't even care that it's got space in the title. I just enjoyed the shit out of it, and I love the video that they did to accompany it. So musically, it's a winner. Visually, it's a winner. Lonnie?
Yeah, it is. It is good. It's one of the songs that really surprised me again on the album. That I mentioned at the top. I was like, oh, when the track listing originally came out, I was like, oh, really, Space Truckin', we're going down this road type thing. But it works. It really, truly does. And the Space Ace Truckin' line in there that's in there several times, it works. I mean, if you didn't know the original song, you wouldn't know that that's crammed in there. You know what I mean? It works really well. And the video that came out with the single is fun. It's funny. Works really well too. And I think this is the song. Ken nailed it again because this is right up Ace's alley and it works perfectly for him. Ken called this, I think when Origins 1 came out, I think he called this. So,
somewhere back then.
a couple years ago. So it surprised me, and I ranked it high because it does surprise me, and I really like it. And it's not. And this whole album isn't like one of those albums where you're going to listen to it a couple times, and then I'm going to discard it and I'm never going to listen to it again. I see myself going back to this one a whole lot more than I did Origins 1, actually.
Yeah, this one's actually made me go back to Origins 1 a lot more as
Really?
well, mixing them together along with his earlier covers of, Do Ya, and the ones that he's included, The Joker. Just putting all his covers into one playlist is something that
There you go.
I'm actually surprised that I've been doing. Ken, your thoughts on Space Truckin', which actually was recorded for Origins 1, and he didn't use it at the time. He
Ken
revisited
has
it.
inside information.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's I stole it. Yeah. So yeah, this is a song that I love. It's from my favorite Deep Purple album, Machine Head. So I've always loved it. They trimmed it down nicely. That they didn't do the full blown out. However many minutes it was.
11.
It was as long, yeah. So I was like, okay, yeah, they had to trim it. I mean, so it gets right into it right away. I wasn't thinking it was going to go right into the song right away because I'm so used to the original. But it gets right in there, and it's a great job. It's hard to beat it, beat a Deep Purple song like this, but they come pretty close, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, like I thought I would.
Nice. Mark.
Yeah, well, I put this pretty high, and I'll be honest. This went up higher on my list really late in the game, mainly because I love Deep Purple. Okay, they're one of my favorite bands. John Lord is one of my biggest influences on keyboards, believe it or not. And you'll hear that on my new record coming out soon,
Awesome.
because there's a bit of a Hammond organ work on this new record that I'm doing, which is tributed to the man, Mr. Lord. But I've always loved this song. I'll admit the first time when I heard this song with Ace, those kind of, little alterations to the lyrics that he put in there were kind of humorous the first couple times you heard it, but I found that I started getting a little like rolling the eyes after a while, after listening to the song a few more times with them. They started getting a little stale. But one thing really helped to keep this song high on my list was the other day I received my new Deep Purple album, Whoosh, that came out. Amazing record, by the way. One of the best late career albums I've ever heard by a band. Highly recommend it. And with it came a live DVD in it, where they perform at Hellfest in 2017. And they do a bang-up job doing space trucking on that. And when I watched it, I was like, yeah, I really got into it. And then it just, for some reason, made the Ace version just go up even higher in my ranking, because when I listened to it, I was like, yeah, it does. It is good. It is really rocking and solid. And who cares about those little things that kind of bug me about the lyrics? I can look past that because musically, it's really well done. And I love the organ sound that Ace and the guys got on their recording. Very, very authentic B3 sound. I have a feeling it's maybe a bit of a plug-in. I can't imagine them wheeling in a huge, monstrous Hammond B3 into the studio for that. But it was a good sample of one. That's for damn sure.
And a great performance by Rob Sabino. So,
yes.
Yeah, early Ace buddy from the Bronx. All right, that means number one, pretty clear cut, actually on 39 points. I'm down, and I'm shocked. I did not see that one coming as the winner of this ranking. I love this song always have. But when it comes to covers, I immediately thought of Aerosmith, who did a cover of it for Permanent Vacation back in '87. So that's a pretty tough bar to go Ace versus Steven Tyler vocally. Or maybe not, depends. And I think he nailed it in every way. It's a great up-tempo rocker, and probably one of the few really up-tempo Beatles songs that is not too deep, but deep enough that it's not an obvious pick. So if Ace was saying, I'm going to do a Beatles song, this would not be in the top 10 of the songs that I would have picked for him to do. But he does it. He does it fantastically. I think John Five's on this one as well. So guitar-wise, it's got an abundance of guitar sounds and dynamics going on, but vocally, I know some people have talked about it's been up-pitched for Ace to sing it, and I don't know, and I don't care. I just think it really works well from start to finish. Lonnie?
I ranked it number 1, and it's one of the songs I was looking forward to the most. 1, because it's a Beatles song. 2, because John Five was on the album, which when we previewed the album a couple months ago, we talked about what songs you're looking forward to the most and why. And that's the reason why is one of them, because I'm always interested to hear what he sounds like with other guitar players. So, those songs in Manic Depression with Bruce were some of the songs I was looking forward to the most. And this song did not disappoint. And I think it's the perfect choice for him to do a Beatles song on. That, you want to do a Beatles song. Well, he's not picking I Want to Hold Your Hand. He's not picking Hard Day's Night. It's down the list of Beatles songs, but it's perfect. I think it works really well. The guitar playing on this song is incredible, and it's one solo after the next, and it's like you're listening to it and you're like, damn. And if somebody didn't know this was a Beatles song, I don't know if you played it, I think if I played it for my wife or I played it for anybody, and I said who's the original recording on this, I'll give you 20 guesses. I don't think they'd guess the Beatles. I mean, it's catchy, and you can, and then if you say it's the Beatles, oh, okay, I get it now. I can kind of hear it now because it's catchy. It's, it's a fun song. But I think the guitar playing on the song is great. It's a great, and it's a great song on top of it. And just the solos are just off the chart for me. It's the highlight of the album for sure. Absolutely. So when I submitted my picks, Julian's like, wait, so I'm Down as your favorite? And I was just like, yeah, am I like way out of left field on this? Because I think it's the best song on the album.
I was just checking, wanted to be sure, but your enthusiasm now has illustrated your point perfectly. There we go. Ken?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I was kind of worried about this song, scared, like, oh, shoot. It's going to do this song. I was like, I don't know if they're going to pull it off. But it's a great, straight ahead rocker that I assume Paul wrote it because he sang the lead on it too. And he does his, on the original, the Paul scratchy vocal kind of thing he does in those type of songs. And, but yeah, it was well executed. It's pretty high on my list. I had it at number 4. So I was pleasantly surprised how well it came out, and yes, the guitar work and so on was all fantastic in it, and I'll be listening to that more because and I always liked the original too, but I think they almost improve on it in a way, the way they rocked on it, so it's really good.
Yep, great Little Richard song written by Paul McCartney. Mark?
Yeah, exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth. This song is Paul McCartney giving tribute to Little Richard for sure. I mean, his vocals. I mean, you said that when you think of this song, Julian, that you think of Aerosmith. When I think of this, I think of Paul McCartney. Like that's one of his best sung vocals that he's done on a song for sure. Big single for them, like '65, I think. Help, I think it was time when it came out. Love this song. Again, one of the things I love about it is that because it's so kind of simplistic, the brilliance in it lies in its simplicity, that anybody could probably pick this up and play it, but rarely can anybody make it sound as good as the Beatles could do. I think Ace did a good job. I think Aerosmith did a good job on it. The only thing that excuse me, the only thing that I'm glad that Ace didn't do, if memory serves me correctly, with this, that the Aerosmith did do is they put that continental organ solo bit in the Aerosmith version, that really odd organ in there, and I don't think Ace does that in this version. I think it's just guitars that are on this. There's no weird organ part in this. I don't think there is. I can't remember off the top of my head. But in any case, I think that this is a great song. One that when you think of it now, when you look at it, you think to yourself, oh, that's kind of a, not a deep cut by the Beatles or something like that. But you know what? If you wouldn't have saw it on the track listing, and they said the Beatles song was going to appear from, a Beatles album on this thing, I guarantee you wouldn't have picked this song. There's probably 100 other Beatles songs that you probably would have picked besides "I'm Down." So it's a great song. I love it, and I think he did a great job with it too.
Yeah, and I think more importantly, in some ways, is that it gives it pays tribute to the '50s rock and roll of Little Richard, of Big Bopper, of Jerry Lee Lewis, and kind of that rip-roaring early feel of rock and roll on which everything else is based. That comes later. So, yeah, surprised that it won. But, all right, so our favorites, mine was Kicks, Mark's was Good Times, Bad Times, Lonnie's was I'm Down, and Ken's was She. Our least favorite, everyone else picked Politician, and I didn't like Jumping Jack Flash so much. What other questions before we wrap up here? Were there any missed opportunities with how Ace approached any particular song on this for you? And I guess the final question of the day will be, does this album make you interested in Origins Volume 3? And what are some songs that you'd pick for him? Mark, let's start with you on both of those.
Well, I don't think there's anything necessarily that he had a missed opportunity on. I think that he pretty much did a good job on this. I think everything on this record I liked much more than on the other Origins one, definitely. From Sonics to everything. But I think that Origins 3, I think there's possibilities for many more fantastic songs to be put on there. I mean, I gave you my 3 that I thought would be good picks for it. One of them being Black Sabbath's The Wizard. I think that I could definitely see Ace do something like that. It's a bluesy, simple song that he could do. It's not a hard song to do in any sense. I think Summertime Blues would be a good song to do. Yeah, lots of people have done that, but I think that Ace is one of these guys who could take that and really make it his own, with his kind of stylizing in that. And I also think that Keep on Rockin' in the Free World, Neil Young. I mean, there's a real simple song, songs that probably people know. One that's not really covered too much by people, but it's not a hard song. I think that's important for Ace. You don't want to give him a really overly complicated song to do because he can really make it his own when it's simple.
I think one of his first appearances when he came back in 2006 was joining Pearl Jam on stage for a rendition of Rockin' in the Free World.
Oh, really, eh?
Yay. Yes, and of course it's Canadian, isn't it? So
exactly.
Naturally you approve. We lost Ken, so because we've gone late, no doubt. Lonnie, same questions to you.
I don't think there's any really missed opportunities. I think he really did well with the tracks that were put on the album. I was really surprised with how well they're done. We said that some of the track listings made us nervous to start with, but he really knocked them all out of the park. Like I said, really enjoyed this a whole lot more than I enjoyed Origins 1. Not to say I didn't like Origins 1, but I think, Origins 1 got his feet wet a little bit and kind of figure out what he wanted to do with this style of album. And really, really did a great job on this. So missed opportunities, I really don't see them, to be perfectly honest with you. It was really hard to rank these songs, a whole lot harder than I thought it was going to be before my first listen to this album. I thought, because I just thought some of them just aren't going to work, just like any covers album. Some of them just aren't going to work. It's going to be easy to populate the bottom few, and it's, and it'll work itself out from there. But this was really a lot harder exercise than I thought it was going to be. As far as what he could do, I'm looking forward to an Origins 3. I think it'd be great. Why not at this point? What he could do is, I don't know. I think After Midnight would be fun. I think he could do that very well to keep with his Eric Clapton roots. I'd like to see him do something else with the Beatles, since as much as I enjoyed I'm Down and as much as the panel enjoyed I'm Down, I'd like to see him do something else. What that is, I really don't know. Surprise me. But don't go with the big hit. Go with something a little bit deeper, not too deep, but dig a little bit.
Something for the White Album.
Correct. Dig a little bit. And same thing with the Stones. He's done he's done a Stones songs on each one of these. Do another Stones songs, but let's dig a little bit. Let's dig a little deeper. Let's not go too deep, but let's dig a little bit. Get a good B-side on there. It'd be fun.
One after 909. Who knows? I don't think he missed with anything. And while, again, I've said that one song's my least favorite, I don't skip it. I enjoyed it all. I find this a much more cohesive package than the first one. I think, Lonnie, your point that maybe he's found his feet as much as Ace can without falling over. It's true. I think he's comfortable with this and knows how he wants to approach doing material like this. I was very happy that Origins Volume 3 is in his deal, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to what he springs on us, because so far he's kept us guessing to a certain extent. It's not been as predictable on Volume 2 as maybe it was on Volume 1. There's some songs, again, it comes back to the documentary Ace Frehley's Origins that Ken Mills and I put together, about Ace's youth, and some of the music that was coming up for there, I would really love for him to do. Number one, Blues Magoos, We Ain't Got Nothing Yet, with its Love Gun and solo. I'd like to see him have Pepe Castro come back for another guest appearance. Obviously, he did on Trouble Walking in '89, but that would just be nice because of guitar lessons from him, etc., and his origins, and a very pure origin song there. The Nas, Not Wrong Long. Again, a really good song for him to kind of put his stamp on. And then The Move, Hello Susie. So those are three. And I think he's got to do a Who song eventually, but we shall see. All right, Ken, we lost you early. So for now, from Lonnie, from Ken, from Mark and myself, that's our Origin panel. What are the songs that you loved the most? What are the ones that surprised you the most? What are the ones, if any, that crashed and burned for you? And what would you like if Ace, or when Ace, does an Origins Volume 3? What are some songs that you think that are amongst his Origins that you think that he could do well, or surprises that you would like? Maybe what Kiss song? Does he still? I think Parasite. But there we go.
He already did Parasite. Parasite's on Volume 1.
Is it? I thought it was Cold Jet. How many?
They're both on there. Come on.
Yeah, he's on a lot.
You're better than that.
Talk about brain farting. All right, what Kiss songs are left? So maybe something from Asylum then.
Strange Ways.
Who Wants to Be Lonely? All right, there we go. We'll leave it there. There we go. We'll see you next week. Bye now. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we've broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.